Hello.
Hello.
Hello. This is wonderful to have this panel.
Hello.
Yes, so we can start. So I'm going to.
Yes.
I'm Sasha Altaf. I'm the director to Ishara Art Foundation. It's a non-profit research-driven institution dedicated to shaping critical conversations in contemporary South Asian art. At the center of our evolving vision is Ishara House in Kochi, conceived not as a satellite outpost, but as a living, breathing site of exchange and co-production within the historic Kashi Hallegua House in Mattancherry, a space shaped by centuries of maritime encounter. Ishara House seeks to forge meaningful connections among South Asian and Indian Ocean regional artists by attending to the fluid cultural continuities that move across through the waters of the sea, embracing what we think of as an amphibian spirit, adaptive and alive to migration, entanglement, and exchange. This inaugural exhibition, Amphibian Aesthetics, developed in collaboration with Riyas Komu and the Aazhi Archives, whose sustained engagement with oceanic histories and cross-cultural exchange has long foregrounded the sea as a site of cosmopolitan imagination. The exhibition extends this vision by positioning the amphibian as both metaphor and method, engaging questions of climate precarity, displacement, and shared ecological futures. The exhibition deepens Ishara's commitment to supporting South Asian artistic voices through Kochi, situating their practices within the wider tidal networks of memory, movement, and trans-regional belonging. Ishara is honored to host this talk with Michelangelo Pistoletto. Thank you, Michelangelo. And
Thank you.
within the context of its first major presentation in South Asia. And thank you, Dr. Gražina, for moderating this conversation to reflect upon the synergies that hold these worlds together. I would like to introduce Michelangelo Pistoletto, who is a renowned artist based in Vienna. He was a key figure of the arte povera movement. Following early investigations into self-portraiture, he achieved international prominence with his mirror paintings, works that collapse the boundary between viewer and image. Minus objects are regarded as pivotal to the arte povera material experiments. From the late 1960s, Pistoletto extended his practice into public actions and interdisciplinary collaborations, integrating art with social engagement. In the 1990s, he founded Ishara Art Foundation, Pistoletto, to promote socially responsible transformation. His ongoing Third Paradise project envisions a symbolic reconciliation between nature and artificiality. Pistoletto's work is widely exhibited in museums and biennales around the world. In 2025, he was nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize. Dr. Gražina Subelytė is the curator of the Peggy Guggenheim Collection. Her recent exhibitions include Surrealism and Magic, Enchanted Modernity, and 1948, the Biennale of Peggy Guggenheim in 2018. Besides, she co-curated Peggy Guggenheim, The Last Dogaressa, and From Gesture to Form, Post-War European and American Art from the Schulhoff Collection. Among other projects, she is currently co-organizing a show, Peggy Guggenheim in London, The Making of a Collector. Gražina completed her PhD at the Courtauld Institute of Art, London, and has authored numerous essays on modern and contemporary art, which also include an exploration of an amphibian view of the world. Riyas Komu is an artist and curator whose multidisciplinary practice explores war, migration, memory, and social conflict. Co-founder of the Kochi Muziris Biennale and Uru Art Harbour. S Venkiteswaran, Kerala-based film critic, documentary filmmaker, curator, and translator who writes in English and Malayalam. Author of several books on cinema and media, he has contributed widely to the journals and served on juries and curatorial teams at major film festivals across India. Have a warm welcome and thank you for joining us for this talk and conversation, and I will leave the floor to you. Thank you once again.
Thank you. Thank you so much for this generous introduction. And if I may say, it is a great pleasure and honor for me to be part of this event, especially on the occasion of the first major presentation of Michelangelo Pistoletto's works in South Asia at the Ishara House in Kerala. So I would like to thank Smita Prabhakar as well as Riyas Komu and the entire team for this kind invitation. and above all, for creating a platform in which exhibitions don't just act as conclusions, but very and truly as ever-evolving conversations. And it is so apt that the exhibition Amphibian Aesthetics should take place in Kochi, a place that is defined by migration, coexistence, and layered histories, and therefore makes it a particularly resonant context for Michelangelo Pistoletto's works. So Michelangelo Pistoletto is truly an artist that needs no introduction. He is one of the central figures of post-war contemporary art and truly one of the most influential artists living today. From the early 1960s, he was a leading figure in the Italian arte povera movement that challenged traditional ideas about art, materiality, and authorship. And his mirror paintings that were already mentioned earlier very and truly redefine the relationship between the artwork and the viewer, opening up the artwork and making it into a space of social encounter in which life, reality, and participation all come together. Across more than 6 decades of work, Michelangelo Pistoletto also extended that idea of the artist work beyond the artist studio to incorporate politics, ecology, social participation, and so much more. And so some of his projects, such as Città dell'Arte, as well as the Third Paradise, about which I hope we'll talk about later today, have also really were grounded on his idea of art as a function for societal change. And Michelangelo Pistoletto's works so perfectly resonate within the context of the exhibition on amphibian aesthetics, because amphibian aesthetics fully proposes that notion of art, life, culture, and economy not as separate entities, but as all connected together. So at the time when the world is defined by so many crises, from displacement to ecological change that is taking place, climate change, being amphibian very and truly means being able to inhabit this complexity. And so to inhabit this complexity means being able to adapt, to share responsibility, to look for community-oriented solutions, as well as for kind of positive ways forward. So not just concentrate on the crisis, but look for positive solutions. And in this sense, Michelangelo Pistoletto's work really perfectly integrates in the context of this exhibition. And it is an honor to be in conversation with him alongside with Riyas and Tias as well. For those who have not seen the exhibition, there are works from 2 series by Maestro included in the show. And the series are called Division and Multiplication of the Mirror, that he began in 1978, as well as The Free Space. So we will come to them later in our conversation. But if I may, Maestro, I would like to start kind of at the very beginning of your career, if possible. If I may ask, what does it mean for you to show your works in Kerala now, in Kochi, in Kerala?
For me, it's very important to have the possibility to bring in the Indian dimension of the today world as part of the today world in the international necessity of connecting different nations, different population, different cultures. And what for me it's important to find the what is existing already in India, for example, as a radical, very old tradition, basic tradition of the spirituality of the place that become inevitably the political today. And I think that art has to be between religion and politics, between economy and modern economy and antique system of economy and antique system of believing and believing and living. So we are, and I think that art is really the point of power for a connection for a possibility of finding the essential point that exists already. And I am sure that my work, being based on the interconnection between art and society, between individual physical body and the body of the society, transmitted by the mirror, transmitted by the vision, transmitted by the imagination that is going through all the time and all the places, and to find a new word that is able to organize the peace before that any war. Not the concept of peace. We have to go very far into the traditions, very far into the basic spirit of the human, in order to regenerate the society.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And you so beautifully talk about the connection in the society and the community. If I may, I would like to extend this conversation to Riyas as well. Riyas, would you be able to tell us more about the community-oriented life in Kochi and Kerala as well, and its histories, and how they resonate with Michelangelo Pistoletto's work?
Yeah, first of all, it's a great honor to be in conversation with Michelangelo Pistoletto, who's been, part of this Amphibian Aesthetics project. And into the context of the conversation, first of all, I would like to thank the people of Kochi by hosting, the larger international art projects has changed the course of Indian art. And Ishara House, with the support of Ishara Arts Foundation, with the great support of Smita, Prabhaga, we were able to kind of, converge a new dialogue, which actually is almost like a commitment to the time, the people, the people of Kochi, and also people of, in the larger, the art community. We've been able to kind of, create an exhibition which almost like celebrates also the community's continued engagement. So it's important, to almost extend from Michelangelo just said that how much important it's that the humanity in today's time, because Kochi is a place which had three major colonial presence, like from the Portuguese to the Dutch to the British. And it's a place that where more than 39 different communities live together. So the biennial or the contemporary art projects which came in there through through different ways to trigger new imaginations, to discuss peace, to produce dialogues, to heal the time, to also to encourage intellectual engagements, and also reimagine or memorialize the site imaginaries, because we are also sitting in a peninsula which is open to the the Indian Ocean discourses. So in every sense, the participation of Michelangelo in the exhibition is actually a celebration of the people.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And what I learned, and I think will be very interesting to the audience, is that the works in the exhibition were actually produced in Kochi. Kochi is a very important art production site. Can we talk about this a little bit? How this idea traveled all the way to Kochi?
Yeah, it's important to reassert in an Indian context today, in a post-independent India, in different times, that the country has tried to kind of travel along with art as a possibility to kind of to unify the nation. So from post-independent India, many of our exercises has been like around that. And in 2010, the early biennial discourses started. We almost like identified Kochi as like, one of the important locations because of the post-colonial possibilities which exist there. And this is a place that, where we have this, very different historic memories of this colonial past in the form of architecture, in the form of like, religious monuments, and many layered histories. So actually, the art came in there through creating a new art route and occupied these spaces and started engaging in the process of art making with the support of the local government. In fact, one can also say that, along with saying that Kochi is like one of the most important sites in India, in a post-independent India, where maximum amount of international art is produced. So it is also because of the support of the local community. It's also support of the government, which has got a futuristic vision, which also engages in the prospect of education. And another important thing is like, there's also a Gandhian vision, which, we as an institution, Aazhi Archive, also tries to adopt in, like, who are we addressing? That's always a question that which we try to ask. I think, Gandhi has always said that, you should address to the last man standing. So it's actually very important that, whenever we are trying to do exhibitions, we try to educate and we work with the policy that art plus knowledge plus people. And Kochi is, in the current Indian political context, Kochi is a site to dissent. Kochi is a site that, political engagements are possible. There is very intense discourses around politics, economy, ecology, and also the idea of art making itself. Because since last 15 years, Kochi has changed the perceptions people had about contemporary art practices. Kochi has inspired the nation, and people are following, what Kerala is doing today. And there is an emergence in discourses around the Kerala model, which actually brings together, all diverse disciplines together by celebrating different art forms. So, in that sense, like, even the arrival of Michelangelo, as almost like a legend,
Mhm.
is also like, helping, the people to understand the possibilities of a site of,
Mhm.
new dialogue and convergence.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Riyas, talking about putting people at the center. And so now I would like to lead and connect to Michelangelo Pistoletto's works and come to the mirror paintings. Maestro, would you be able to talk about your early research into the self and how that later became the mirror paintings, which became the self-portrait of the world? Can you talk to us about this?
You speak about the beginning of my
Yes.
research.
Yes.
When I was looking for myself as the central point of understanding and the expression, because in the modernity, the artist became very alone, making his own art, his own expression, his own sign. But I didn't want to make a sign myself in order to decide that I was imposing my sign. I wanted to understand my sign, not to imposing a sign. And it is why I started to look in the mirror myself. I understood that the first thing I know is that I exist. That is for sure. And I have seen the mirror as a place for the truth. The mirror, it could not tell me a story that were not true. The mirror was not inventing anything. It's and it is why I try to transform the material of the canvas, the material of the painting in a mirror, not just painting myself on the canvas, looking my image in the mirror, but transforming the canvas in a mirror. And so the mirror, in itself, it became the work of art, not just something beside, but in the center. And so, and finally, I have seen perfectly my image, but I was not alone at all. Never been so with the other, never been so much with the other than in my self-portrait. It was amazing discovering that you exist as a point that is exactly the same point that you find in everybody else. And this, for me, it was the way to open my eyes into the world, my eyes into the vision of the world, because the mirror is fantastic, because it's not the reality, it is not the physical reality, but it is the vision of the reality. And we have to have a general vision. We live, our mind as human being is made with visions. We don't have only the mouth, the stomach in order to eat. We have the eyes to produce a vision, and through the mirror we have the vision of the entire existence. In this, what is important is that I discovered that there was a phenomenology, the scientific phenomenology of the time and space. Because what you see in the mirror, it is the space, all the space. There's no limit in the space, but also you have the system of the time into the space. The time that is never never the same. What you see in this moment, it didn't exist before, will never exist again. And it is why we call that infinity, because there is no finity. We live in a finity that is excluding the finity itself. The biggest contradiction that we live with our mind. We have to live the duration of our life into that physicality that is a provisory sense of stability, but never we are stable. We are always movable.
Movable. You know, in one conversation with Germano Celland, you described the mirror paintings as a 24-hour camera.
Yeah, this is true. Because also I started to fix one image. In the beginning of my mirror painting, there is an image that is the image that I take with the photography of a moment that is passing, but making the photo, I stop it. It doesn't change anymore, and I fix this stop of image into the movement, perpetual movement of the images in the mirror. So it's like a stop image into the film.
And
all the image of the reflection, they become like a movie of the life.
Of course. And then later in 1978, you started doing division and multiplication of the mirror. Yes. Can you talk to us about the shift, how it happened?
But what I wanted to do is to give the possibility to the mirror to become itself the author of the work. I wanted the mirror, not only me, but the mirror in itself to be able to make its own self-portrait. So it is like incredible. It's very similar to the virtual intelligence of today, that we want the intelligence itself to take our place. This was the concept of cutting the mirror, and cutting the mirror in two parts. I had the possibility to see that and moving the mirror on the corner of the cut. I had the possibility to see the mirror reflecting inside of the two mirrors and creating a third mirror that didn't exist. And so the two mirrors produced between them a third mirror. And it is now the formula that I made, the formula that is made by two circles and a central circle that is the third element that I call the third paradise. It is the place where two elements combine and produce a new element that didn't exist before. So this is the system of the creation. But when I close more and more the two mirrors on the angle, the multiplication for 3 it is going on. It becomes 4, 5, 6, 7,000, millions and millions of mirrors inside of this original moment of 1 and 1 makes 3. But in the system is producing the universal number of possibility. And this is was my research. But when the two mirrors that they were open at the beginning, they made 3, but they close, and more they close, more mirror you see inside. At the end, when the two mirrors are facing each other, you don't have any more reflection and you don't have any more space between. There is no life and no reflection. And that is before the existence of the universe. There was nothing. But from that nothing, two elements start. Space and time and mass and energy, they exploded, and that was the big bang of the existence. And the mirror starts to create all the dynamic of all the possibility, and the mirror is opening again, and being open. It is the universe that is extending itself, but always with the combination between duality. Everything is working in that way.
And you know what is very beautiful is that these works, in which division does not signify fragmentation or loss, more than anything, growth, right? Collective shared experience, positivity. Would you agree with that?
Yes, but for example, the work that is there in exhibition is the concept of cutting the mirror.
Yeah.
And when you cut, you have the immense possibility of cutting in a different way. But when you see in the work there, I cut the mirror with the frame, because if I don't have the frame, I don't know how big is the mirror. The bigger is extended as the universe extended, but I have to concentrate the idea that the mirror is one.
Yes.
It's one mirror that is cut. So the universe is one, but in the frame, I have the possibility to see that is one, to have the idea of the unity, and so I have the possibility to see this mirror is the totality, but it's in the frame. If I don't cut the frame with the mirror, I think that I already find the pieces of mirror. No, I didn't find it. It was the universal mirror that I cut. And I have the possibility of cut the mirror, and each piece of the mirror is an individuality, is a physical individuality. Because cutting the mirror, I don't cut only the vision, I cut the body of the mirror.
Yes. No, exactly.
I cut the body. And so I have pieces of body with mind that reflect all together. So it is the beginning of the society, body and thinkers.
The very start of things. And so interesting you should say it, because your room, the room with your works, also where the exhibition begins and ends, actually, in the location in Kochi. If I may, at this point, I would like to ask a question to Riyas as well about the meaning of the trope of the mirror in local culture, in Kerala and India more broadly, and also the broken mirror.
Yeah, it's a great honor to host legendary artists like Michelangelo Pistoletto in Amphibian Aesthetics. And also the Kerala's connection with Italy goes back to ages. We had exchanges of art, commerce, and also spirituality has traveled from Italy to Kerala and back. And it's again the trope of the mirror. The image of the mirror is something that connects, resonates with the idea of the amphibian is the open to other modes of being, and the way of other ways of seeing the world, and also the kind of a confrontation with oneself as an image. So mirror as self and reflection and multiplication of self actually resonates very much with the idea of the amphibians. Mirror, again, if you look at the idea or the metaphor of the mirror, it has a long history in both in Indian art and also philosophy. Like philosophy, you have a lot of concepts of the how do you mirror as a kind of pure self, that which you confront, which you have to confront if you want to know yourself. So it's a kind of confrontation with oneself as the other. Again, so mirror actually stands as a witness self. It's a kind of witness self which witnesses you, and a self outside us that stands witness to ourselves, to our body, to the world. Again, there is in one of the oldest treatises on art in India, which is called Natya Shastra, there is this concept of chakshudana, which means giving the eye, giving vision. That is actually the last act that a sculptor or an artist does when he makes an image. He completes the image, and the final act is to draw or chisel its eye. And that act is done holding a mirror. In a way, you're actually opening up. The God becomes God when he or she sees herself or himself. So God is actually, opens its eyes to itself. So that is the act where mirror comes into play in the act of creation of the image itself. There's the last act where the image becomes a deity, or image is given is accorded divinity. Then again, if you come back to Kerala also has the idea of the mirror has a very important connection with Kerala's social history. One of our greatest, saint philosophers named Srinarayana Guru, he actually was a social reformer who lived in the last part of 19th century and early 20th century. And in his act of, social reformation, he was actually trying to, reform Hinduism from within. So he was doing a kind of spiritual transformation thing, and in that process, he also established a lot of temples for prayer. So some of his temples, actually, he installed a mirror as the deity, where somebody who comes to pray at a temple actually confronts himself or herself. So the message is, you are the divine. Okay, that is the kind of the way in which mirror has been placed within, a Kerala context, and also it is a kind of way in which he was trying to subvert the kind of dominant, Brahminical kind of way of looking at the world, where you are God as someone else, as somewhere elsewhere, but God is you, God is within you. That is the kind of message he wanted to pass. Before which everyone is the same. You're all the same. When you look at the mirror, you see yourself. When somebody else looks at it, he becomes that. Okay. Then again, other ways in which we had very interesting ways in which people are walking through this, the first room where Pistoletto's works are, exhibited. So we had two kinds of responses. One is that, in Indian culture and tradition, a broken mirror is an ill omen. It doesn't forebode good things. Something bad could happen to you.
Like a bad omen.
Yeah, bad omen it is. Then gradually they came to realize that it is not just broken mirror. No, as Pistoletto was saying, you had this frame, and there are it is broken in particular very geometrical patterns, and there is a gap in between. Another response was taking selfies. In the age of selfies, everyone was taking selfies in front of the mirror. Where I thought that they were actually where many of the people are trying to avoid confrontation with oneself. And you are trying to create an image of yourself in front of the mirror. So these are some of the ways in which the mirror was experienced by the visitors there, and also the presence of the cage, that free space in the middle, was also something that was part of the mirror image. If you look at the mirror, you can also see the cage behind you. So that is also a very interesting kind of way in which each other and the viewers were caught in between, or had to find their way between the mirror and the cage.
Thank you so much, CS. So CS, actually, in the end, you mentioned the free space, the cage that is placed in the middle of the room. surrounded by the mirrors. Maestro Pistoletto, can I ask you about the work The Free Space and the origins in the 1970s, the very beginning of the idea of the free space?
Free space is it is a free space, but you have to know what to do with the freedom, and it is necessary to organize the free space, and it is why I try to activate the free space, bringing the artistic activity outside of the institutions, because the institutions, they are already you say closed, limited spaces with precise meaning. The institution is already a symbol of itself, no? The symbol of the institution. And I agree the institution, but I want also go outside of the institutions and find the space between the different institutions. Because for me, it was important to say that finally the artist find his freedom in engaging also it's himself or herself into the connection between all the different sectors of the society. And each institution is a sector, and each sector, it can be an institution. What is the space between? This is what is important. It is why I like this concept of making love differences. Love difference, it means to have the consciousness that each piece of organization in the different culture of the society, in small places on the big dimension of this world, we have pieces that are all different one from the other. And the freedom is between all the differences, is between. But between, you have to find a way to organize what is between. And so you have to take two different conceptions of two states or two conditions, and looking how these two elements can produce a new element that is between, that didn't exist. And this is art, because art is creation, and this is the formula of the creation. So freedom is the free space that is in the center of two elements, between two elements. It's always free, but it's never free, because it's the place where the things are combined. And this is the creation that we have to use in order to understand each other, not just accepting each other, but producing together a vision that is new. And it is in this way we need today to build a new world that is able to meet in the free space, and together to produce new vision and new systems. This is what is to escape. It means to escape the domination of one system on the other.
Exactly. You know, the work so beautifully illuminates kind of all the structures, social, psychological, ideological, that put limitations on us. Really, because you see this cage and it's empty, but you cannot go inside. There is no entrance in it. And I also love it that it's placed in the middle, in the center of the room, surrounded by the works of division and multiplication.
In the center, I made a big cage. The cage is, we always think that the cage is the place that takes away the freedom of your freedom. But this is the cage of the freedom. The freedom is not outside. It is inside of the prison. We live in a prison, but we always think that the free is outside of the prison. No, it is in the center of the prison. We have to find the free space in the center of our prison. That is the life.
And can I ask you something? Can you also speak a little about Lozo, the group that kind of that you put together in the 1960s when you collaborated with so many of people from music, literature, and theater? So kind of this very collaborative spirit. How important is it?
Yeah. Yes, I made a manifesto that I was opening my studio to the collaboration of any artist could come of any kind of artistic expression from from poetry to cinema to sculpture to performance, theater. They could come and see together what we could do using the different art in connection. And in order to do this, we had to go outside from the studio. Because the studio, the atelier of the artist, it was an institution. It was part of the institution. My atelier is the institution where the painter is producing his work to exhibit.
Exactly.
So we wanted to go from outside from any institution and to go in the street. But the street is not easy to move in the street. So we had to do something that was possible in order to connect our capacity of in creating together with in front of the people and with the normal people. So it was a way to think about the possibility to create a community, the concept that the art has to be able to create a new sense of community. The idea of society, it starts from a small community, and the zoo was kind of a small community of artists that want not just being isolated, but see if it is possible to live with the artistic spirit together. This is it is the concept that developed little by little until the Città dell'Arte, that is the city where we try to connect all the different not only artistic activity, but also practical and political and economical activities. And in order that art could put into this new institution what we were looking going outside the institution. This is funny, but we want to make an institution of where you can do what we were looking going outside of the institutions.
And so
the floating situation.
Amphibian,
Yeah. This is an amphibian situation. Yeah.
Also because it shows that collaboration, working together within a community, within a society, really helps us go beyond the limitations that are put on us and helps us connect. And I think this beautifully connects to the context also of Kochi, where the exhibition is happening, because there's such a community-driven approach. I don't know, Riyas, do you want to say something about this, a kind of local specificity and community orientation?
We try in Biella we have created Città dell'Arte. It means the city of art. We want to develop with the concept of state of art, because we think that the word of city is a concept of civilization, the civilized world starting to re-civilize the society, starting from an artistic city, that the city is the civil condition for living together. But the city, it can be larger and larger, become a civilization. And for that, we need have a political and social idea that is able to going ahead slowly and slowly with finding, inventing, creating new methods of political connection. And we made now, for example, the unity of religions. We have 5 religions together today that have been signed a general concept. But you understand how big it's the problem of putting together the religions, each religion as central conception of activity that exclude the other religions. And so the work is very slow, and it cannot be the transformation. It cannot be immediate. The transformation has to arrive little by little by a school, by the school where you accept the idea of the formula that you have always 2 possibilities, but you have to find a third one. We have to start from the school. And in Vienna, we have the academy for that. The people that come from all around the world, from different cultures, and they are not just learning something, but they are producing like a laboratory. With the student. They become the central activity of the laboratory. They are not just here to find already made cultural law, but to organize for creation of new law. And it's very slow. It's not something that you can make him. We need the school. And Città dell'Arte, it is first of all a school, but a school laboratory. And it is fantastic to see when you have people coming from India, from South Africa, from America, from everywhere, and different places of Europe also, and together they feel to have a new life already, being together and eating together, making project together. It is. We have to speak about the freedom of together.
Of being together and collaboration, exactly. And if I may just connect now also to Riyas, because that idea of togetherness, living in a community-oriented setting, and Kochi, a place where so many cultures coexist as well. Can you talk about this a little bit and the parallels with Città dell'Arte?
Yeah, I think it's fascinating, and it's what Michelangelo is doing today, building a new commune, and which speaks about the spirit of coexistence. It's so inspiring to kind of hear, sir. I mean, it's congratulations on such initiatives, especially when it comes from artists. I think we feel especially proud. I mean, yeah, I think it's very interesting to even connect that what we have been trying to do in Kochi in a political climate like this. And it's very interesting to speak about the spirit of the collaborative coexistence, which is also part of the amphibian aesthetics, and also the the idea of Ishara House, traveling across the ocean and coming and participating along with us in a mission like this. See, it's interesting to also let everyone know that the location, it's actually one of the oldest Jewish houses, which belonged to one of the old trade families like Halleguas. And the house is known as Hallegua House, which actually located between 2 synagogues. Yeah, the sir, the Ishara House, is actually located inside one of the oldest Jewish houses where the exhibition is happening, and it is called the Hallegua House. And when you walk 200 meters towards right, then you have a white synagogue. which is one of the most celebrated. When you walk towards it, you see, on the both side, the traders from Kashmir and actually doing business. I mean, it's a very interesting sight that, the spirit of coexistence is there. Then you walk toward the left, you have a black synagogue, but eventually, because of the communities are not there, it doesn't exist or maintain properly. Then you walk into this house. Symbolically, now Hallegua House is bought by a Kochi owner, and it is called Kashi Hallegua House. And Kashi is a very symbolic, name in the spiritual context, and also a location where people, go for, a certain kind of a, spiritual bliss. And then today we have Ishara House taking over, and almost all these three symbolisms coming together and converting this space for a new dialogue of coexistence. And we have around 12 artists inside the project. Once you cross the particular work is exhibited by you. And symbolically, with many other projects, also artists from Palestine like Dima Sruji is showing with us, and many other important artists. But what we are able to do also inside the premise of this house, in the backyard, there is a courtyard behind. We have made the burial sites for the children of Gaza. So that is done by one of the organization called White Balance. When you see the entire exhibition in connection with all the exhibits, the space becomes almost a site for reconciliation, and almost a site becomes a site for healing. And in that context, your work, which speaks also about the preventive piece, and also speaks about, like, in a kind of a reflective opportunity, the moment people walk in from the street, because this is a house which is facing onto the street, because it is a trade, it's part of the trade settlement. The moment you walk in, what you see is a feeling of entrapment, so then you realize that, your work actually, communicates in a very different way. It almost like a kind of a mirror of the world, what we are in today. So, yeah, I think that is the site-specific project in a very different way.
Thank you so much, Riyas, for this wonderful explanation about the context. And also in the end, you mentioned, of course, the children of Gaza. And it, reminds us something we never forget about the many conflicts and wars that are happening today. And how important that collaboration, positivity that leads to peace eventually. So you mentioned Michelangelo Pistoletto's concept of the preventive peace. Can you talk about it a little bit, Maestro? What does it mean to you, preventive peace? It's preventing conflict before it actually happens.
But the idea of preventive peace came to me when Bush and Blair, they were making the preventive war to Iraq. I said, this is unbelievable that you don't make the war, you make the preventive war. You want to make the war in any case, and after we will see. the war, after the life come after the preventive war. This was unbelievable. And at that time, I remember that millions and millions of people went out in the street in the world, without saying anything, just being outside in the street altogether. But nobody remembered that. Nobody remembered that people were going outside and saying, it's not possible, this preventive war to Iraq, what that means. And it is why, personally, I said, being myself an artist, I did already something, but not enough. I have to do more in order to be part of that necessity, of common necessity, to make a step ahead in the opposite way, of the preventive war. what the only thing we can do is to speak about preventive peace. If you don't work the same way that they use for the war, we use for the peace. We made the war of the peace preventive. And it is why my concept of preventive peace is to be able to meet people, to organize, to do all what is possible to make some step in the opposite step of the war. Something that I know that we have to do.
And it's our responsibility, each and every one's, to be part of it.
And it is necessary to understand that. And I know that you cannot say that to the people that they have the power of the war. We have to speak about the people that can create new organizations for a new power, starting from the culture, starting from the capacity of making small little organization, and little by little to create the state of art that I'm thinking about. The state, it is a state of being, status of being. No, the idea of the state. It is something. It is not the state. It is not a specific government. It is something that is unifying the different governments. This is the state of art. Art. Art has to take the responsibility of making proposals. We have not to make just protest, because we are used to make the protest, and the protest is not enough. We can be critic, we can criticize, but the protest has to be changed in proposition, the proposals, not instead of the protest, we have to make the proposals. We have to invent something that is changing what we are going to protest. If you protest, you give power to the side that is already much more powerful than your protest. Your protest will always be very weak, and we need to have incredible expensive for humanity to die for the idea of a better life. No, I don't give my life. Physically, I want to give my proposition, and we have to make proposition together. Not only the protest. The protest doesn't bring to really a solution. We have to teach the young people, the people that instead of making protests, making proposals, sitting together and making proposals.
To generate something, to kind of actively.
This is to anticipate the system of peace.
And, I was actually going to ask you, what is your message to the young people today? But I think, this is kind of ends already very beautifully, what you just noted, kind of that idea of peace. Is there anything else you want to add, maybe, for the youngest generations?
I don't know. I think that we understand each other. We understand each other because we have the same desire, and the desire of our desire. It is the desire of the majority of the humanity. Everybody wants something different. Want to be able to give the best of everybody, to give the best, but not to destroy the other, to do something together with the other. We want to. For me, the system of the sport is already a system for preventive peace, because the sport, they have an international law, and everybody is able to play in his own capacity and giving the best. But the victory is not for one against the other. The victory is for both people that fight for the victory. but without the fight for the victory, you don't have the victory. So the capacity of being different and working together, giving our best in order to make the sport very basic.
Yeah.
The sport has already an international law. You cannot kill a person in the sport. It's the basic. There is one reason that organizes all the sport. You cannot make anything against somebody else that is to make danger to the people.
Dangerous.
Danger.
Okay.
Eh?
Dangerous.
You cannot be, if you are making danger, you are excluded.
Exactly.
This is already a law for the entire world. And each different sport, it is already like a different state. That's a different organization. They have to work. We have to take the sport, the system of the sport, as the possibility of imitating.
Mm. And you put humanity, the human being, front and center at everything.
Now, when they make the Olympics,
Yeah.
and they think that you have to exclude somebody because it's Russian, this is not true, because because it's not the government that come in the sport, but the people. You say?
Exactly, the humanity. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, Maestro Michelangelo Pistoletto, yes, please.
Can I ask a question? One thing is, as an artist who has practiced art for such a long time, there has been a huge shift in art making in recent years, where you have worked with materials, whether it be canvas, whether it be mirrors or whatever. Like, you have been working with materials. Now, with the emergence of the digital, people are working with digital art, immateriality. People are not working with materials anymore. And people are working in making digital art. So how do you, as an artist who has worked with different kinds of materials, look at digital art? Has it given more opportunities, or is it limiting?
When I made the mirror paintings, for me the mirror is the way to be myself with all the others inside of it. And I think that the digital system is the same. It is exactly this, but it's not a visual mirror. It's a practical mirror. We go inside all together. We go inside to a system that is bringing everybody mind, everybody capacity, everybody memory inside. And the connection between all the different memories, they work as all the memory works in each one of our brain. My brain is taking together a memory and connecting my memory with all what is going on around me in order to be connected with the world. But the memory of the other is also the experience, and the memory of the other, they combine when the faculty to combining. And it's amazing that we have possibility today not just to look inside the mirror, but being alive into the mirror of the technology.
And being alive is the message we concentrate on. But
the problem is that the system of the technology is eating energy in an incredible way. And this is something that is put in the risk of our body to forget, to not be able to survive enough to have the result. And also, it is possible that we create a copy of human being, because this is exactly like human being, but it's a robot that is something that doesn't have no physical humanity. So this is the two risks is that we we can destroy, not destroy, we can bring to the hand to the human body, and our mind will grow in with other form of bodies that will be mechanical bodies, or the robot that we are producing is exactly like we are, as we are. It's a copy. It's a copy of ourselves, and we like to do a copy that is exactly, more is perfect, better it is for the results. So I know already that when I will die, I will be existing already in the technological universe. So probably is the way to not die, to be translated not only in the spirit of this concept of spirituality that will always nourished in our mind, but to be in a real physical paradise, technological paradise. That is what we are going to do. But it is possible. But it is possible that we will not have the result without a big destruction of the physical planet, because we have to go and find the possibility to have the energy not taken away from the planet, but finding the energy that is in the universe already directly outside. And probably it is what we are looking for today. But this passage is not so easy, and we have to know that we have so many risks and so many problems. But anyway, it doesn't matter. We want to know, and we want to go ahead, and we want to do our best.
And we as humanity, we have a responsibility in everything that we do.
The creation, the human creation is responsibility of humanity.
That's exactly it. Maestro, thank you so much for sharing your incredible ideas with us today. And thank you also so much to Riyas and Sias for joining us. We covered so much today. We looked at the mirrors, not just as reflective surfaces, but mirrors that really are generators of shared presence. We also looked at division, not as something that shows loss or fragmentation, but in fact shows growth and multiplication and positive possibilities. And we looked at the cage, so the free space work, that doesn't signify enclosure or entrapment, but illuminates the very architecture of freedom, really. And your works in the exhibition at the Ishara House, they don't just invite contemplation, but they recalibrate really our perception as humanity of ourselves, our relationship to other people, and the world that surrounds us. And in this world today, in which there are so many difficulties, conflicts, precarity, wars, your works really, that act of recalibration becomes like a political act itself. So, Maestro, I don't know how to thank you really so much for your incredible message of positivity, really, of kind of generative forces that we as generations have to go with. And above all, of your message of peace, which I think really could be applied everywhere in the world today. So thank you so much again for being here. It's an honor to be in conversation.
Thank you. I think what you're doing is a big opportunity for everybody. Thank you to be so nice and inviting me. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir. Again, on behalf of Ishara House, and also from Aazhi Archive, and very happily from the people of Kochi, where you in fact have concluded the conversation towards a discussion around amphibious futures. So it's wonderful, I think, and we are honored. And thank you so much again, sir.
Thank you. Truly on behalf of Ishara. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all. Thank you.